When we think of samurai warriors on the battlefield, we imagine men in armor wielding their katanas. But what about the women who fought alongside them? In this episode of What Is, we cover the Onna Musha and the Onna Musha. Let's take a look. All right, the words that we're looking at today, Onna Musha, which is a female warrior. These are women who fought on battlefields and were from primarily samurai families. And Onna Musha, which is a female martial artist. And these people are the ones who emphasized martial culture and discipline over battlefield prowess. Let's take a look at some of the historical origins behind them, their weapons, their tactics, their training, and where they are at in today's culture. So let's look at the historic origins behind these two words. First, we have the Heian period, 794 to 1185, with the legendary figure of Empress Jingu, who led legendary campaigns. Some say that she was pregnant while she was on the battlefield and conquered vast tracts of space and lands, all while breaking social norms of being a female leader. Next, we have the Kamakura through the Muromachi period, which is 1185 through 1573. And this is when samurai culture really solidified, and women began training in martial tactics and learning how to do home defense and learn the skills similar to their male samurai counterparts. During the Sengoku period, which is 1467 to 1600s, which is the height of the Civil War, the Onna Musha, which were the martial aspect, the warrior side of these two figures, they were mostly at home as home defense or castle defense, while the men were off on campaign. Finally, during the Edo period, which was a relatively more peaceful time in Japanese culture, which is 1603 to 1868, the women of the age, less need to go out onto a battlefield, they became a symbol of martial virtue and discipline. And this is where we end up with the Onna Musha, the artist of the martial artists. Now let's look at some of their weapons, tactics, their training, and again, where they are today. So what weapons and tactics would these warrior women have used? For personal defense, they would have probably preferred a shorter, lighter sword, more like a wakizashi, compared to the longer katanas, or a dagger of some sort. But when it really meant that you had to defend your home, something along the lines of a pole weapon called a naginata would have been preferred. These would have offered greater range and power for the smaller statured women. They also would have been experts in yumi bows, and they were, again, going back to home defense, would have been trained in how to defend a home or castle from invaders, which would have meant long-range attacks, so shooting from afar as someone approached the home or castle. While not as prominent in our vision of historic Japan, the warrior women were honored for their bravery and devotion to the family and clan. Today, the Onna Musha, the tradition lives on in many Buru schools. For example, women today are now learning the art of katana drawing, kendo. They're learning multiple traditional Japanese weapons. And even today, women make up the majority of yumi bow practitioners, and something along the lines of 80% of naginata practitioners are women. And so you can see this tradition living on today in traditional Japanese culture. So if you really enjoyed this episode of What Is, as I did, be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you next time.